Hi all, welcome once again. This is Justin here, and I'll be the host for today's session. And first of all, thank you very much for all who joined in for today's session. Joining along with me, I have two panelists. One is Mr. Dibakar Ghosh. He's the regional sales manager for the SoftwareAG web methods practice here at Kellton Tech, and we also have Siva Subramanian. He's the senior subject matter expertise for the web methods practice. And before we starting in, I would like to mention a few quick house rules for today's session. First of all, I request everyone to go on mute, and for your information, today's webinar is being recorded and will be shared to each participant individually via email. And we also plan to leave 5 minutes at the end of the session for the question and answer session. So if something springs to your mind as we are talking, please feel free to drop your questions in the questions pane in the control panel that you see on the right side of your screen. And yeah, that's it for the housekeeping session. I would like to hand it over to Mr. Dibakar Ghosh. So Dibakar, over to you.
Thank you, Justin. I really appreciate it. Good morning, everyone, and it's a great weather in Virginia right now. One of the things I would like to start with, I belong to the DC practice and I'm focused on SoftwareAG as a service, and we are partners to SoftwareAG. There is an innovation tour coming up in 2017. I believe most of the people who are joining the webinar today would be aware of. If not, just to let you know, it's happening on September 14th and 15th in Hyatt Regency, Chicago, Illinois. So if you have not registered until now, go ahead and make your registrations. If you need any help in doing that, reach out to our team, and you would have certain contacts in the PPT, and you can reach out to those people. They would really help you do that. We have also the links available in our website as well as on the SoftwareAG site itself. So I would, encourage everyone to go ahead and register for the event for the September. We have one coming up in DC as well. We are platinum sponsors for both the events, and I, Shiva, and others would definitely like to host you there. There are others from the Kellton Tech team. We will all like to meet you, and do inform if you are coming, and we can schedule some time to talk on any specific issues you have during that visit as well. Going ahead with Kellton Tech. What is Kellton Tech? Kellton Tech is primarily a pioneer of digital transformation. We believe in disruptive innovation to deliver infinite technology solutions to all and every organization that we work with. When we say that, what it means is we have, over the years, grown in and worked with hundreds of accounts and clients over a period of time, from early stage enterprises to Fortune 1000 companies. We have been engaged for end-to-end solutions, strategic technology consulting, product development in social, mobile, analytics, cloud, and artificial intelligence areas to work with some of the clients to really go ahead and provide solutions for them in the areas that they wanted our help on. I would like to say and bring to your notice that Kellton Tech has few areas of expertise and areas where we own certain COEs, Center of Excellences. One being ISMAC, which is more on the digital side of it. Another area of excellence is SAP Business Unit. As you can know, it's primarily to do with all the SAP related practices. We are a gold partner there. We are partnered with MuleSoft. We are a preferred partner with IBM, and we are definitely one of the strongest partners with SoftwareAG. And this particular webinar would talk about our capabilities in API related work. And Shiva, in a few moments, would really talk what this entails in the webinar regarding the APIs and all. Just to let you know, we have more than 100 web consultants with us, within the software AG practice. Not only we are capable of doing certain projects with web methods, we also have areas of expertise, I would say, in other product areas like Apama, Aries, and others. We have helped people design the digital transformation journey strategy, and we have helped companies align their IT portfolio and also digitize their processes within the software AG practices. I would not take much time to introduce much of the other areas that we have. You can see a slide which covers most of our areas of expertise within our business unit, that is DCE, which we call as Digital Connected Enterprise. And out of these, you might see that API, SOI strategy, and governance is one of the core areas that we focus on. And the present webinar that we have today, where Shiva is going to talk about API and on later stages, you can go ahead and ask questions about the same. Over to you, Shiva.
Thank you, Dibakar, and thank you, Justin. Greetings of the day, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. In the past, Kellton Tech has been sharing its knowledge on various integration related topics. We share our knowledge in the form of webinars like this. And in the recent past, we have covered API strategies, the right ways of doing it, and the API security and implementation using WATH technique, and the IBM's API Connect, and stuff like that. So in the same series, we would like to extend our knowledge, sharing on the API management platform, while focusing mostly on the new component introduced by SoftwareAG called API Gateway. So this is the agenda on my screen. You can see my agenda that I'm planning to cover today. We will be talking about a basic introduction of the APIs, the API economy, and what is the need for the API management platforms, what exactly is it, and we'll introduce the SoftwareAG's API management platform, followed by the capabilities of the API Gateway. Our fundamental focus on this webinar is going to be on the API Gateway component, and then we will have a brief insight about the API Gateway product level, and then we will summarize the benefits of API Gateway, and we will also want to show you a demonstration of the API Gateway Web UI, and there is an extensive feature called SOAP to REST transformation. We will be seeing how to do that. The expectation for this webinar is to finish this off in 30 minutes, but if the demo part takes a bit more, please allow us to do so. So getting started on the technical talk, the API connected world and the API economy. So in the recent past, we have been hearing a lot about the APIs, and even though APIs as a word stands for application programming interfaces, which is not really new at all, but did we ever wonder why did it become so famous in the recent past, probably in the last 2 to 3 years? I think it could be because the World Wide Web availability for the remote regions of the public has increased. Everyone started to use the smartphones and devices, and they have bigger availability, bigger chances to expose themselves to the mobile applications and web applications. That's where the businesses started to see an opportunity to penetrate into those hidden business territories in terms of exposing the unique data and services that they have in the form of mobile applications, so that they could even reach into those remote public. So the new customers are getting onboarded to the businesses, and thus even helping to generate bigger revenues for the organizations. So that's where the API economy term describes the way APIs are positively affecting an organization's profitability. So businesses have started to see the innovative ways of doing the businesses through APIs. it's not just exposing the APIs to the external world, but it is also what are we doing by exposing the APIs to the external world is that we are attracting some third-party developer community and inviting the creative thoughts who can create additional application layers like mobile applications or additional web applications on top of our APIs, and then present it to a bigger community of people. And thus, internally, in turn, what's going on is like all our customers base is increasing, and thus we are getting more revenues. We can monetize our APIs as well as the core business is also growing. And by exposing the APIs will make your organization easier to do business with, and it also accelerates the enterprise mobile strategy as well as enterprise data as a service initiatives. And of course, it's the core component, or it will unfold the opportunities for digital transformation initiatives. Let's talk about the need for the API management platform. But what exactly is API management platform? So people may say that we understand the concept of APIs. It is just to expose the unique data and services to the external world. And we have the API initiatives going on in our organizations. But why do I need to worry about managing them? Is it really a big deal? Or someone may say that we are actually planning to onboard onto the API initiative very shortly, but is it too early to think about the API management platform at this point of time? The answer for this question will in turn come from asking ourselves a set of questionnaires. Like, so what exactly should be exposed as an API? What is my API landscape at the organization level? If my APIs count is growing in size, how am I going to do the administration tasks around it? When I say administration of it, it includes the security aspects of it. It includes managing the consumers of the APIs. It includes the analytics part of it, especially when you know that a lot of consumers are invoking your APIs, and you would probably want to know which APIs or which actual business cases are being used more by the external parties, and thus you could probably concentrate more on those specific areas to enhance furthermore. And we might also be interested in letting or empowering the third-party developer communities to self-service themselves for the APIs, to consume the APIs and thus come up with the third-party applications, so that, like we discussed, it could reach to the remote public. So how does all this happen? Like when we do not have a single way of doing it, or a single platform to do all this stuff, what is the easiest way to do it? It's not absolutely impossible to do it, but it will be a bit tedious and time consuming, and as well as cost consuming. So what exactly do I need to do? So all it needs is, like in the digital ecosystem, when the business requirements are fast paced and they're changing very quickly, we need to be agile enough to adopt those business changes and come up with the new solutions as the time is moving on. But it should happen as quickly as possible. All we need is the right mindset and right tooling capabilities to adapt to these changes. So the API management platform is something like that, which will help the companies who wants to onboard onto the API economy in terms of ensuring the efficient operations in building the APIs, exposing the APIs, ensuring the security of it, and a lot of aspects we will be discussing so soon. So yeah, if you look at the screen, I have just listed down what are all the challenges that where the API management can come handy in terms of managing the entire life cycle and providing authentication, mediation, and additional richest capabilities like payload transformations, monetization, and as well as understanding the analytics of the APIs, and then use them further and converting them into business expansion plans and stuff like that. So all this will become easier when you have an API management platform and the right platform. Introducing the SoftwareAG's API management platform. In the latest versions of it, SoftwareAG has come up with a couple of components. One is Web Methods API Gateway, and the other one is API Portal. So these are the two components which constitute majority of the API management platform, and the other one is CentroSite. We will be focusing mainly on the API Gateway in this webinar. So the API Gateway, in short, is to securely expose your APIs to the third-party developers. So while it is doing that, it also has the additional functionalities of what the WM Mediator and the Enterprise Gateway Server had as well. So it's a combination of the functionalities of the Mediator and the Enterprise Gateway Server, and exposed as a single product. It also has some other additional capabilities. It came up with a nice web UI through which we can create the APIs and define the policies, service level agreements, and publish the APIs to the API portal. So this API Gateway component is the mediator. If you see the slide, the diagram depicts the application server is the one where the actual services or the backend web services or backend services could be residing. And the external systems like the web applications or mobile applications or any cloud or on-premise applications, if they want to consume these backend services, then they could actually access the APIs through the API Gateway. Next comes the Web Methods API Portal. The main intent of the API Portal is to let the third-party developer community empowered in terms of understanding the APIs provided by your organization, by making the documentation available for them about the APIs, and let the users register on the API portal so that they can browse through the APIs list and then find out which API best suits their requirement, and then understand the behavioral patterns of those people and generate some analytics reports which you could further use upon. This API portal is available on the API Cloud as a hosted service. Moving on, so we will be talking a little more in the aspects of API Gateway features now. So through the API Gateway, we can configure APIs. The SoftwareAG API Gateway supports the SOAP APIs. That means you could create any external or any SOAP-based web services as a form of API and then expose them to the outside world. So here comes a point that when we are creating the APIs on the API Gateway, it helps us leverage the existing investments on the SOAP-based services development and already available SOAP-based web services in terms of exposing them to the outside world as SOAP APIs, or even it has the functionality to convert those SOAP-based services into RESTful services and then expose it. The intent of converting the SOAP to RESTful services is mainly to attract the lightweight applications such as mobiles and stuff like that. So as world has adapted mostly the RESTful APIs, this feature will definitely come handy for a lot of organizations who have a lot of legacy SOAP-based web services and which they want to leverage it in the form of RESTful APIs. And of course, you can also create some RESTful APIs through the gateway and as well as the WebSocket APIs. You can enforce certain policies on the APIs that you are exposing. These policies are very rich in set on the Web Methods API Gateway. You can have the runtime policy set up on at the environment level or the global level or at the service level policies. You can create some policy templates using Gateway and then apply those templates to the services. The policy catalog is like categorized into like security policies, the message transformation policies, the traffic management policies. The intent is to secure or have the threat protection from some unauthorized IP addresses or unauthorized client consumer applications, and also safeguard from any SQL injections or viruses and unauthorized consumption through invalid JSON or threat XML messages. Coming to the security aspect, it supports the token-based authentication mechanism, especially the OAuth 2.0, which is very highly widely adopted by a lot of organizations, and the API key mechanisms. The message transformation policies include the SOAP to REST transformation, just like how we discussed. It will help to leverage the existing investments and then save a lot of time and cost in terms of the business, in terms of implementing the new services. And it also allows us to have the pre-processing and post-processing on the request and responses accordingly. The traffic management policies include the log invocation. As soon as you get a request, probably you would want to log that messages and monitor the service level agreements at the API level and cache the service results so that you could achieve greater performances. And managing consuming applications is another richest features of API Gateway. So we always get into a question like whether we have the list of consumers for a specific service. Either the organizations could be maintaining them in an obsolete Excel file or somewhere which is again obsolete. So, and that's not an intended thing. So we want to track who are consuming our services. And so you would start with registering or unregistering the consuming applications when you are onboarding that consumer onto your APIs. And you would associate those applications with the APIs they are supposed to invoke. So that way you are authorizing the consuming applications to access a specific API, and you would also maintain the corresponding user credentials or the keys, security keys. The API Gateway also does the mediation of the request using the content-based routing or various routing mechanisms like context-based routing, straight or pass-through routing, etc. The protocol conversion can be made from HTTP to HTTPS and vice versa, etc. The another richest feature of API Gateway is about the built-in usage analytics. SoftwareAG API Gateway provides a couple of dashboards. One is at the API Gateway level, and the other one is at the specific API level. Through these API gateways, through these API dashboards, the administrators or the users can understand which service or which API is invoked the maximum number of times, and how many, what is the throughput of this, how many number of invocations have been made in a specific duration of the time, and what are the business regions in which the consumers are interested in, whether there are any failures, so that you can look into the improvement aspect of it, and scenarios like that. For the analytics part, SoftwareAG API Gateway uses something called Event Data Store, and a couple of backend components like Elasticsearch, which actually publishes the events to the Kibana server. Kibana server will in turn help to create these analytics and then showcase them in the form of the dashboards. The various events that the API Gateway publishes to the Event Data Store are listed here: the transactional events, error, monitor, policy violation, lifecycle, and threat protection, etc. And coming to the monetization aspect of it, through the API Gateway, when we are exposing our APIs, we would also want to track. We can leverage this particular component or product to build the consumers. we can create certain plans and packages, combine a list of APIs into one package, and then create various plans like a basic plan or for the tiered pricing. That way, we can attract various consumers based on their requirement. If someone is interested in making 1,000 calls in 1 day period, so you could charge them or you could bill them accordingly. Or if someone is very coming up with a huge transaction volume, then you could charge them accordingly. So all that billing aspects of the API's invocation can be taken care through the API gateway as well. The API gateway can be integrated with the API portal, wherein again API portal is something which allows the third-party developers to access the API related assets and then decide which API to consume, etc. Coming to the product level features of it, it has a simple and dedicated web-based user interface. It's very easy to use. We will be seeing that very shortly in a demonstration. And the API gateway supports the clustering. The clustering can be done through the Terracotta server array in order to provide scalability and high availability. The API's gateway has the easy discovery feature as well. That means there are some cosmetic features added to filter out the APIs or just find out the specific APIs based on the type of the APIs or the status of the APIs and stuff like that. There is a sample request and response or error codes also when we create an API, so the developer can make use of these sample requests in order to look at the functionality of the API and see whether it fits their requirement or not. So we will be talking in this slide a bit more about the product level insights of it. API Gateway, the latest version available is 10.0, and it's as part of the innovation release. SoftwareAG says the product is production quality enough, but it's not recommended because the support for the innovation release products is limited for 12 months only, and the fixer support is available for the first 6 months. Eventually, if you are using this product in your organization, then you will need to upgrade or migrate to the latest standard version release. The gateway is available in 2 editions as of now. One is the standard edition, which only offers the API protection capabilities, and the other one is the advanced edition, which offers the API protection and mediation capabilities as well. The upcoming slide will show you the difference between the features and capabilities offered by each edition, so that we can take a call about which license should we go with. So if you clearly see it, the administration management is there in both of them, but the key components like the clustering support and the analytics part of it and the policies management is all available in the advanced version. So if someone wants to have both mediation and threat protection layer capabilities, then the advanced edition could be the right one to go with. And to quickly get started with the API gateway in the organization, all you need to do is to go to SoftwareAG and then request them for the installer, because innovation release installers are not available for the all public. So you need it needs to be on-demand request, and you just go with providing the API gateway keys and then start the API gateway component, create the users and roles in the integration server, and then just access the platform at HTTP and your host name port. The port is going to be, the default port is going to be 9072. It's very quick enough to get started. So if anyone wants to get started with it, you could follow these steps, or if you need our help in that, we will be glad to do it as well. So now let's look at the key benefits of the API gateway, what we are achieving out of this. You could potentially expose your APIs in a safest way to the outside world. Let the third-party consumers, may it be internal or external consumers, access your APIs, leverage the existing data and services in terms of generating more revenues. transform the payloads or protocols, and make sure the access is limited to the authorized and authenticated consumers, and you could enforce the secure service level agreement policies, monetize the APIs, and as well as convert or leverage the existing SOAP investments or SOAP-based web services investments into RESTful services. You could convert them into RESTful services as quickly as possible. And you could also use the analytics and data support to further take a business action out of it. And apparently, we could even achieve the improved customer satisfaction as well. So now I'm going to go with the demo. In the demo part, I'll just walk you through the UI for quite shortly, and then we will see how a sample SOAP service can be exposed as a RESTful API. I'm going to log into my environment. So here is a service that I create user. All it does is to send some message, accept a request to create the users, and then it provides a message saying that user was successfully added, and the user ID would be first name dot last name. And I converted this into an SOAP-based web service. I took this WSDL, and then now I'm going to open the API gateway. Right now I'm using the administrator, but in the real organization usage, you would need to set up the users and roles. And this is the Web Methods API Gateway UI. It is very simple and clean enough. You only have 4 tabs, but the capabilities are very rich inside. And it shows 3 options to do with the APIs. One is the administration part of it, and the managing the policies, and analyzing the APIs. So let me click on the APIs tab. This will list out all the existing APIs present in my API gateway right now. So it also shows a description and the name of the APIs with the version, and this button will help to export the API configuration in the form of a zip file. You could click on this analytics part so that you would get the API specific analytics, and there is an option to activate or deactivate any API. So any APIs that you're modifying or under development should be in a deactivated status. In order to edit, it needs to be in a deactivated status. And it also has a couple of options here to publish the APIs to the API portal. So once you configure the APIs in the API gateway, if you click on this one, the next step is to get it published to the API portal. And like we said, the easy discovery capabilities, there are certain filters kept in here based on the activation status and type of the APIs. You could filter them. As your APIs are growing in size, this would come handy. And when you create an API, it will let you create with it will let you create the APIs with any of the 3 options available here. One is you can create it using an API definition file, which can be a RAML file or a Swagger file or a WSDL file. And it also allows you to create API from the URL. So this URL can be your WSDL URL as well. And you could also create your API from the scratch and expose any services, may it be a web method CSP service or non-web method service as well. So the SoftwareAG API Gateway is not meant to be only for the SoftwareAG suite of products. If for the customers who are not using Web Methods Gateway, not using the Web Methods products as well, can expose their backend services as API through this gateway component. And coming to the policies part of it, the threat protection has a rich policy set. You could deny the specific IP addresses, and then create rules wherein you can enforce the message level filters and the authentication filters like OAuth, message size filter, and etc. You can also create some custom policies and using the policy template. So when you create a policy template, just trying to show you the next screen wherein it will show you the list of policies available. So it has the transport level policies, identify and access for authentication and authorization, the request processing in terms of invoking a web methods integration server, or you could get the response or request and response transformed using XSLT transformations. You could validate the schema of the you could validate the request against the schema and have the content-based routing, traffic monitoring, just all the capabilities that we discussed at the time of walking through the slides, all are being shown here. Going back, the applications is the place where we register our consumers and then associate them with the APIs. I have created a test application over here right now. It has some API keys created and OAuth 2 credentials created automatically when you create the APIs, and you could further associate this application with the APIs it can access or it is authorized to access. Moving on, API packages and plans. It will help you to create the billing plans and billing packages. A set of APIs can be exposed as a single package at a basic plan or a tiered. You can have the tiered billing for those APIs, and all that is possible through the API packages. So let me quickly show you how I'm going to create an API and expose my existing backend SOAP service that I just showed at the start of this demo in the form of a RESTful service. This is a SOAP-based service. So I'm creating it using the WSDL URL. So right now, my API gateway and my server are running on the same same server, but like I said, you can have the services residing in any server, and you can expose all of them, any backend service as an API using the API gateway. This is protected using username and password. So I gave the corresponding user details, username and password, and name. I'm creating like user or create user demo API, and then I'm putting the type of the URL that I gave is for WSDL, and the version is 1.0. I just set it to create users and then click on create. I'm sorry, did I use the URL to I chose a wrong URL, wrong option. Import API from URL. Bear with me. I'm sorry, that was a copy paste mistake. So we are supposed to give the WSDL URL here. So earlier the endpoint was not reachable. Now upon creation, we got this thing generated, the basic stuff generated. Now this is not in edit mode once you create the API. So if you see what got created, the technical information is this. This is the native endpoint of the SOAP service, and the operations exposed on this one is create user, and there is no REST transformation defined on it, but I'm going to convert it into a RESTful API now. So click on REST transformation, and then it is listing down all the operations available in that SOAP web service and asking which all operations do you want to expose it as an RESTful service. So this option over here allows us to restrict or allows us to choose which all operations do we want to expose it as RESTful API. You could have some of them exposed and some of them not exposed as well. So I'm creating an API, so this is qualified for a HTTP post, and this is the sample request and response that got generated. Looking at this one, the developer community will understand whether it is a good one to go with for the requirements. So already the status code 201 is existing, so I don't need to create one more. Just say save. Now I'm done with my RESTful transformation as well. So it has generated the documentation, the artifacts, it has generated the Swagger data for the REST API, and as well as the RAML data. You can download them and then share it with your consumers. Now I'm going to activate this one until I activate this component and then expose the API to the consumers. This is not accessible by outside ones. So it's asking me a confirmation. I would say yes. So this particular API is now available as a RESTful API available at this gateway endpoint. So the gateway endpoint is the one that is created upon activation of the URL. So I'm going to use this one and invoke it from my external client. In this case, it is SOAP UI, and my resource name in this case is create user. Click on OK, and this is a post method. I'm going to copy paste the request from my existing project. So all it is doing is to submit a create user request while passing some first name and last name and email ID, stuff like that. And then when you invoke it, it needs some credentials to be passed from the client, which were missing. So it is saying that it's not accessible. So I'm passing the credentials as well. And upon invocation, we could see the response coming back. You create user response, message user was successfully created. User ID is keltontech.solutions. The first name I gave, dot the last name I gave. So all you are doing in this demo is creating or leveraging an existing SOAP web service and then exposing it as a RESTful web service to the outside world, or RESTful API to the outside world, and you are invoking it using the application/JSON instead of your SOAP envelope, which is a large weight messaging. So by exposing like this, your API is ready to be adopted by a lot of mobile app and the lightweight apps like IoT devices and stuff like that. So with this one, I know I took more than what we actually wanted to take, but I would like to conclude my demo part with this one. And thank you for being patient all the way. I would hand it over to Justin for the question and answer session.
Hey, thanks, Siva. Thank you very much for taking us through the SoftwareAG's API management platform. And you also beautifully put up the features and benefits of API gateways. And we have a few questions coming in from the audience. I would like to read out a couple of questions for you, and you can answer that. The first question comes as why do we need API gateway separately when Centrasite is capable of service lifecycle management functionality?
The Centrasite is mainly to have the have it as an asset catalog for all the API related assets. It is still being used as a API catalog, and it also does the design time governance of the APIs, like enforcement of the policies at the design time, whereas the API gateway will also manage the end-to-end service lifecycle management along with the runtime policies enforcement. That's the key difference. And it exposes the APIs to the outside world, which it will also allow you to virtualize your APIs and expose it to outside world, like it is done in Mediator.
Yes. We have the second question, Siva. Can the API gateway receive the REST request and convert the request into SOAP request?
Yes. In the demo that we just showed you, all it is doing is to receive a REST request in the form of application/JSON content type, and backend it is invoking the SOAP message. So API gateway is doing the transformation of the REST message to SOAP message and providing us back an JSON response. So the direct answer to that question is yes.
So we have, one last question from the audience. It is, how do we purge or archive the analytics data?
That's a good question. I'm sorry, I forgot to cover the API analytics part in my demo, and this question goes into that. So, like we discussed at the time of theory, API analytics page will give us a list of options for us to find out the analytics around the API invocations, how many number of APIs invocations have happened in last the time duration you choose over here, and then you can figure out how many were successful, how many were fair use, and all that stuff. But coming back to the question, if you have to archive or purge, there is an option at the left side of it. If you see the API gateway level events, you can archive them. You can choose the kind of events you want to archive, and then or even purge, and then you could choose until date, like you could give some past date and then purge them or archive them until that date, or you can choose a specific duration and then do that as well.
Hi, I hope Barjin, because we would be limited by time, also keeping that in mind, anything specific, Justin, you can collect the questions and have Shiva and our team also answer it as we can, and at length also, and we can schedule certain individual discussions also with people who have questions. So any questions we are not able to answer at this point, we will be more than happy to answer or return the calls or fix up some time to discuss those questions at greater details if this time is limited by nature.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah.
I think I'm done answering with this question. If we have any more questions, we could probably ask the requester to send in an email so that we can have a personal conversation with them and then discuss it. Else probably we are done with it.
So thank you very much, Shiva and Dibakar. Yeah, again, audience, I know, we have left few of the questions, unanswering, but, as we are running out of time, our team will reach out to you individually, and, also we will be sharing you the recording and presentation of today's session, and we would be happy to connect with you again offline, picking up some time, taking up the your questions and answering that. As again, you can see, Kellton Tech is going to be present at Innovation 2 2017 event by SoftwareAG, and Kellton Tech will be the platinum sponsor for this event, and we would love the opportunity to network with you. And if you're planning to attend this session, there is a link provided in the presentation. You can see that button, schedule an appointment. that will take you through the landing page where you can provide your contact details and a brief message, and our team will get back to you, to schedule an appointment during the event. And I would like to thank you everyone for joining and making some time for this session today. And I think that's it for the session. And feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. We would be happy to assist. Thank you very much, all. Thank you, Dibakar and Siva.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.